is the opportunity I have to welcome a friend of mine on stage to do the next introduction. So Ashanti Green is the City of Jacksonville's first sustainability manager. She is a Jacksonville native and an appointed commissioner of the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Commission. She wears more hats than anyone else I have ever heard of, and it is a real privilege to get to work with her. So Ashanti, if you wouldn't mind, come on stage.
How y'all doing? Good. Thank you for the applause and the yell in the back corner back there. As you guys know, I'm Ashanti Green, aka the Green Lady of the city. But it's such an incredible honor to introduce an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to hear from Queen Quet, who is the Chieftess of the Gullah Geechee Nation. But before I introduce her, I just really want to share that I am a proud descendant of the Gullah Geechee people. And I don't just study and work in sustainability, I live it because of that. And our people have always lived it. We're not just sustainable because it's trendy. We are sustainable because it is necessary to our survival on the earth. The Gullah Geechee people have been long stewards of the land and the sea, practicing conservation, regenerative agriculture, and resilience long before they were names or words that we claimed. A lot can be learned from the deep-rooted traditions of the Gullah Geechee people, as you'll learn today, whether it's farming, fishing, or building with the earth. That has allowed us to sustain our communities against centuries of displacement, environmental threats, and cultural divide. This legacy is what fuels the work. So with that, you guys are here to learn about Queen Quet. So Queen Quet is a woman that is not only a leader, but she is a visionary and a warrior, not only for my people, but for all of us. Queen Marquita L. Goodwine is a historian, an author, an environmental justice advocate, a preservationist, and a cultural champion whose work has been dedicated to the survival and ensuring that the Gullah Geechee people thrive. She is the founder of the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition, the first and premier advocacy organization for the continuation of the Gullah Geechee culture, and has been on the forefront of ensuring our story is not just told in the local country, but across the world. Her impact is global. Queen Quet has made history as the first Gullah Geechee person to speak before the United Nations in Switzerland. She elevates the voices not only of our ancestors here, but on the world stage. She has been a key advocate in the fight for retention, environmental justice, climate resilience, and standing at the intersection of culture and conservation. Some say cultural conservation. She represents the Gullah Geechee Nation at multiple United Nations climate change conferences, as well as NOAA summits. She wants to ensure that the Gullah Geechee communities and the work on the coast remains as a part of the global conversation. Her leadership in the Gullah Geechee Sea Islands Coalition has worked with U.S. Congressman James Clyburn to pass the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Act, which led to the establishment of the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor under the National Park Service within the Department of Interior. She served as the chair of the General Management Plan for the corridor that has worked to ensure environmental threats are mitigated. Queen Quet's influence extends far beyond policy. She has been a cultural consultant for many major films and television, including WGN's Underground, and has been featured in The Patriot as well as so many other media outlets, not only in the US, Africa, Europe, and so on and so forth. Her accolades are countless. If I was going down the list, we would be here for a while, but some that are notable is she received the Order of the Palmetto, South Carolina's highest civilian honor. She also received the United States Jefferson Award for community service. as well as the Jean Langley Folk Heritage Award for her Gullah Geechee advocacy. She has also been honored by the United Nations, UNESCO, and the White House. They don't just hand those out to anybody. She is a true artivist, as you will see. Queen Quet blends music, storytelling, and scholarship to bring the history of our people to life. Through the powerful presentations and writing and leadership, she reminds that culture is not just a relic of the past, but it will inspire our future, and we should learn from it. With that being said, I am going to pass it on to Queen Quet. If you want to learn more about her, please visit queenquet.com. And without further ado, I invite those of you that are able to stand to give gratitude and reverence as we celebrate and welcome Queen Quet.
This your storm so long. Oh, this your needed time. Oh, this your needed time. Crying, Lord. Give we more time for prayer. I've been in this your storm so long. Oh, I tell you, it's chilling out. I see. I don't know what's going on. Listen here, come on top. Go ahead, do. Leave your son come on your feet. We're going to work. So, how old are you, boy? How old is you? They can't remember. We ancestors have to go through. What poor we've been there, children? If whether we've been poor, no. We elders them, Lord, we hard work ain't going to kill you. And that thing. You great ancestors behind. They're evil. Mandinka, Malenke, Yuriba, Gullah, Geechee, Mendi, Tami, Fee, Ibibio, Renos, the Amasi, the Cree, all of it. Kusau. The devil had a squeak. Try to learn them how to wrestle. You don't. Give everything. Everywhere we're on the one. Down, up, and then especially if it ain't quite grow. How they should grow? Because when I see things grow, it ain't got no growth. When you point at things got something from what? Even them what? We ain't gonna want one. Some of them vine with growing. Sweet for God, it got two legs. He ain't just got leaves. Some of them poison on me for truth. Walk around. And then I hear the children out, cracky teeth, or something like that. We used to just see that'll be on. Pull that thing out. And somebody else will come there and say, get that thing more. Oh, yeah, nothing over. The second you get down for that, they can hear. So I said, well, how can the rest of the week? Because they have us jump before that. But we shall use them. So I said, oh, he walked in London. But sometimes, and children now, learn not to talk to it, because they're not deep for root. That's the root of our talk, because they're taking a weed. Because they know it now. But there's someone else, the children know say this secret. So from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, all of this shall be really secret. Because this year, the Gullah Geechee culture rooted in the soil. And souls of this your soil, crying out, but to stop, uproot everything. The water ain't done uproot, you're the people, great God.
Yeah.
But look here, and I see roses grow through the crack in the field. And so sometimes, that I scrape, coming back, for sure you can't hold me down.
Yeah.
And rattle us with the water. Water to bring me up. Water for We just never know see the water will have a oil across my people like anything like that for them to learn how to act. And some still can. Because they still they understand. Water boy always find me on. So just like that rose grow through the crack, the water coming back. You see? Going on the vehicle go on the salt marsh and taking and put building on top of where you think why.
Right.
But then again, when we get out truck, or the man and the thing crack with teeth like that, the people tell me, say we be cracking. So some of we go on the thing like that and say, wait a minute, we crack with teeth and all what's that we don't know what's going on. And then they said we in video. I said, because we in there can't see. How you mean say we in there? Then I said, oh, and them Britain thing be coming. And Britain will connect the culture. Somehow we make across it, but they ain't come this way. So then we go across it. And we start to learn what the other cultures did across the other side of the bridges. And we figured out they weren't bilingual and trilingual like we were. They spoke like this. So we had to start to understand their ways and the way that they interacted and the way that they behaved, but some of it we still cannot understand. Because I have yet to meet a Gullah Geechee, especially if they studied engineering like I did, or graduated with honors in mathematics and computer science like I did, that would ever say that the way to build something that is this new word that we hear all the time, sustainable, by thinking that you can pave over salt marsh and then build on top of it and that the water will never rise to its own level. I said that in Gullah, but I guess you didn't all get that. So for us, we're sitting here and we're grasping at this and we're trying to understand why these other people of other cultures don't see what the Gullah Geechee see, that here you are in a sacred area where things were already rooted. Every bulldozer you bring in, every cat machine, I hope they ain't one of your sponsors, I don't want to rest your money, any of it that you bring in doesn't mean you can uproot everything. And even if you try, some things are going to grow back to show you that that's where they were positioned for a reason. And so, for me, that says examine, study where you are, look around and truly engage with what's already there. As opposed to believing that the day that you got there was the day that everything came into the world. And we do know some people like that. And a lot of times, unfortunately, those of us who are scientists are those people. Because somehow we think we're smarter than everybody else, but guess what? I don't think we can outdo God. So God put land and a spot and water around it for a reason. These sea islands from Jacksonville, Florida to Jacksonville, North Carolina. I did it in reverse and I normally do since I'm down here with y'all. We realize something. That water don't just stay in one spot. I know y'all used to swamps around here, you gator loving people. But the ocean moves. The creeks, the rivers, they flow. And water will always find its own way. So, 5 years ago, in my world, something happened that was quite intriguing to me. Because one thing I realized as a mother myself is that there reaches a point in time that you ain't gonna talk no more. You said enough. You have a look, but you're not gonna talk anymore. History Month. So if any of the black mothers are here, y'all know the look I'm talking about. I know you do. Because you've either given it, or you've gotten it, or both. Some of the other people who don't look like it's Black History Month, you are nodding your heads too, because you've either given it, or you've gotten it, or both. So when Mama stopped talking, that's usually a little dangerous undertaking. But all the no manners children of the earth upset Mother Earth. She is tired. She is like, I'm not going to say nothing. I have sent fire. I have sent wind. I have sent rain. I have brought the tide up and overflowed the stuff they were doing, and they still not listening. So everybody go to your room. And that's what happened in 2020. You had to all go to your room and sit down. Right? Okay. Mama got tired. And I was praying that somehow folks are going to come out totally different. And they were going to start rethinking the way in which they felt they could function on the earth and with the earth. Oh, but it didn't help them. Some learned nothing from Mama and continued to test her. And so now, here we are 5 years later. You can't wake up one morning without being bombarded with a series of things that say an earthquake happened here, while there were torrential rains over here, which brought flooding, and then over here there was a fire, while there's a snowstorm over here. Because Mama said, oh, now I got to go back to talking. Because when they were in their rooms, they didn't focus. They didn't think, they didn't reflect on how we could come out and live more in balance with nature and with each other. So now we're at this point where I pray, Mama don't send the rest of y'all back to y'all room no more. I ain't got no problem being in my room. And some people freaked out because they couldn't handle that. And I said, maybe it's because they never really took the time to unveil the things that they try to hide from others. Like people taught us to try to hide our culture. Don't ever go into a room and throw them down like this young thing like that, and all the rest of people did, especially about everything like that. I don't do that yet. I was told numerous times never to speak Gullah in public, especially when I went to the United Nations. But I said I will do that which God tells me to do, and not what humans tell me. So the minute I sat down at a desk in the United Nations in Switzerland for the first time in my life, I started off the speech I had written in English. And then I said, but now I must do as my ancestors and God has directed me. And I began to crack my teeth like this and thing like that, and the whole room got in upheaval. If you have ever watched a film, even if you've never been to the UN, there are knobs, there are headphones, headsets. You turn the dial so that you hear the language you're accustomed to speaking. Well, all of a sudden, everybody was doing this. And they couldn't get it to ding. Finally, somebody went, shh. And then they all went, shh. And I'm steady cracking my teeth like a shut thing like that, going on to the speech and thing like that. And now everybody in the circle of that building only heard me speaking in Gullah language for the first time in world history. And then when I went back to English, it was almost like I heard the sigh of relief in the room, like, because now they could hear French, and they could hear German, and they could hear Russian, and they could hear Spanish, and they could hear all of these as they consider them to be global languages. But I dare tell you, Gullah is a global language too. It's just known to be spoken in this region more than anywhere else. Or at least it used to be, until folks started covering it up. And then would tell us, who are native speakers? Not to go anywhere to speak it. Because as a school teacher said when I was in school, you will never get anywhere in life speaking like that. And she wasn't talking to me. She was speaking to my classmates. She had no idea that I could code switch. She had no idea that I was bilingual, but I outlived her now, God bless her dead, but I lived to have these teachers who issued corporal punishment to Gullah Geechee speakers in schools come to me and ask me would I help them learn how to speak my language. And I stood there remembering my own mom and how she taught me to have respect for my elders. So I didn't say what I was thinking. But I instead asked the question, you want to learn? Why? And I was told, because it's the in thing now. Not to say I was insulted by that, but not any more insulted than I had been by watching my classmates who couldn't necessarily code switch get corporal punishment issued to them just for being who they were. And so through their lives, somewhat out of balance. So everywhere that they went, they tried to shroud themselves, they tried to layer themselves, they tried not to be, as people told me in corporate America, so colorful. Because somehow, being that wasn't going to fit in to what others considered their corporate environment. So I was like, what an interesting use for this word, environment. I'm from St. Helena, South Carolina, and things like that, and the environment been where they sent us to go play. I didn't know in this building y'all can play, y'all look kind of stiff. That's how I felt about corporate America. And so then they said, no, well, you know, we have a culture here. I said, what's your culture? I'm Gullah Geechee. And I'm like, no, we mean we have a corporate culture. I said, pray tell. And no one could ever actually define that for me. But as you might say nowadays, it was a hashtag for them to use. Corporate culture. What do you mean by this? And so I started to observe the environment that I was now in. Of course, in a very urban place, very opposite to Seattle. A place where people say, how you doing? But you didn't stay there so I could answer. So I was like, what's that? When we come in the room and go, hi y'all. Hey. I wanted to do. We do well. Okay, how your mama? All right, your church. We do all that. Now stop. And we stay there and get the answer. So I was like, is this part of this corporate culture they're saying? We just give blatant disregard for even the questions we ask? As a scientist, I'm again offended. Because we can't do that as scientists. If we put a question out there as a theory, we want an answer. So we might study it to death, millions of dollars and bring money later. We may still be studying, but we're seeking an answer. So my thing was in 2020, what is the answer that needs to be sought here? It seems like the answer is all of what the question has been for years now. How do we live in balance with the environment? And that's the global environment. That's the natural space that we as humans and the different creatures, even some of those that we don't necessarily like to hang out with, all right, have been birthed into. There was a reason that God had all of us here on this sphere together at the same time. And I know some of you are back on this flat earth theory. I'm not going there with you. I'm going to stick with the nice circular sphere because I like circles. I love the fact that you all are seated at circles. Because in the Gullah Geechee Nation and our traditions as indigenous people, we tend to sit in circles. And we open that circle up for others that want to enter in respectfully and learn more about who we be done young, that we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. So even as you learn that, you start to see the kind of things that oftentimes we have to unpack is first we have to unpack those coming to our community with their backpacks all the time. Want to camp. Come to your family compound. Hey, y'all have a lot of open space here. We know that. Who are you and why are you in our space? Oh, well, we wondered if we could camp out here. No, sir. But you can take that dirt road that brought you in here right on back out to the main road. This is not a campsite. And they're like, but it's so beautiful, we know. And we want to keep it that way. And unfortunately, some of you come as campers and then you want to be residents and then you don't want to live in a camp or a tent, you want to build a building. And where you want to build it at? You want to build it on the shoreline. You build it on the shoreline, then you block the road. Now we can't get to the creek where we feed ourselves from. Not to mention now you want a dock. We never put a dock there. The dock impacts the earth. Now you're stabbing Mother Earth in our heart. Now we're throwing things out of balance. The algae can't grow there no more because you put shading over that area with the dock. Now you wonder how come the blue crab ain't there no more. You wonder why the shrimp ain't there no more. But yet you got the nerve to come to our functions and say, can I have some Gullah Geechee gumbo? You could if I could grow anything, if I could catch it out the creek. Maybe if you didn't build it, the ocean wouldn't acidify and our oyster bed would be okay. We wouldn't have algal blooms. But then, you know, we are the emotional natives. How dare us know science? So for us, everything has been about balance. Yeah, there are places we build and we build way up on what we say highland, way from the water. And we take these here and go to the water, wade in the water. We go to it. So it's amazing to me now that we're wearing devices that got to tell us to stand up. I'm like, will it next say walk? And it does have a walk feature on it. How many steps have you done today? Right? Because we've gotten to the point that we are not engaged with our environment. Even those who say we love it so much. You have on your business card, your digital business card, I'm an environmental scientist, so I'm an environmentalist. How often do you get outside your laboratory? Do you even have a window? Oh yes, I know. Do you even have a window? Do you see one in here? So more often not, we even come together in these conferences and symposiums and nobody stops to think, but if it's about the environment, shouldn't we be outside? But instead they say no, because we want to keep them focused. We don't want them distracted. But maybe this term field trip is what we need to do, is get out here. Don't trip over each other, but get out into the field together on a trip, on a journey that's led by the people in that local community who can tell you what life was like before a building got there, what life was like when they did go down by the riverside. And they were able to do as my mother told me. You didn't even need a cast net at one point. You could go in the creek, wade in and do this and throw shrimps up on the shore. And you could actually get there and go on back up to the house and have dinner. I challenge somebody to try that now, see if you can pull it off anywhere along our coast. So I said, well, we've been trying to unlayer these folks that come to the Gullah Geechee Nation for a long time. I said, I don't get why they don't see all of what I see. The natural green of the earth tends to come out of that natural brown, rich soil where our souls were in harmony with it at one point. And as he said, water to bring me the water, or take me back, this water flows to it and through it, even through that nice green and that brown of the marsh in this area, and it is a healing place. Not just for us, but for those sea creatures that often go in the frog mode stew. Y'all teach them from my harmony with frog mode is, and now y'all named it Little Country Walk. All right? so that you can take it to other places. But here it is, we need all these ingredients to nurture ourselves, to fully enjoy that meal. But what happens when they're not here anymore? What happens when our bivalves can no longer live because we never took the time to really go out in their environment and engage with them in a natural way? So when I was asked to come here, I said, oh, that's an easy one. I could do that one in my sleep. And then they were like, well, I guess we won't be doing it now because the hurricane's coming. And I said, oh, another one. What y'all expect in Florida? It is the season. I say, we do have 5 seasons in the Gullah Geechee Nation. Hurricane season is 1 season. And they say, yep, we're going to have to move it. We might move it to February. I said, oh, Black History Month. Ah, that's going to be interesting. So then I said, well, this is going to be a nice, intriguing opportunity for me to learn during Black History Month of other people's way of looking at the environment. I look at it this way. Engage now visionary insights resourcefully on natural, meaningful educational needs truthfully. I wrote that down sitting there, waiting to be introduced. And I said, but let me see, because, you know, since I truly a Gullah speaker and things like that, and maybe I'll be able to stand tall how the rest of them or the Bible. So in other words, as a native Gullah speaker, maybe I don't understand English that well and I don't know the word environment and what it means. So I went and looked it up, you know, and it actually said, the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. So again, I thought back on that thing about the corporate environment. And I was like, I guess they were talking about the way in which you operate, how they want you to operate. So some of you might say, well, I don't work for a Fortune 500, but I work in a university, or I work in a federal agency. I see all the rangers in the middle of the room, right? And so you have a certain, and I've been an advisor to the National Park Service. I helped get a lot of national parks established, and believe you me, they have their own environment in the NPS, and Department of the Interior. So all the other might say, yeah, we could just take the word corporate out and put something else in, and they create an environment in which we have to operate, right? But now, this definition went on to say, the setting or conditions in which a particular activity is carried on. And here came my concern. Is the setting and the conditions now of the setting of the world that I grew up in, that are the sea islands, and how others who usually were accustomed to urban environments want to urbanize rural environments because they feel they function better in that environment. Well, no insult to you, but really, then you could have stayed in the city. Why would you go to the country to turn it into the city?
Okay.
Because if you function better in the city, you stay in the city environment. And hello, I lived in New York City. It don't get no more urban than that.
Talk about it.
So if I wanted that environment, I would stay in the Big Apple, whether I invite it or invites me. But I didn't want to bring New York City to St. Helena Island. Everything has its place for us to have balance. So here it is that I said, well, the particular activity has to be carried on under these conditions. So how is it that Black people, Gullah Geechee people, and our indigenous ancestors, the Kusako, the Yamasi, how could they carry on in these conditions that were altering their very environment? And I said, when did this all come about? And intriguingly enough, I found that there was the state of environment only showed up in use in the English language, they said in around the 1500s. Or the early 1600s. And I said, interesting. While people were leaving one environment to come to another continent and alter it, here comes this term about the state of the environment. So really, as much as things change, they remain the same. So then came the one that I loved looking at, a couple of them I loved, because it wasn't until the end of the list of the definitions that it said, and it put it in parentheses, the environment. I said, my teachers told me you can't define a word with the word. I was like, the word is upside down. What is this? I said, but there goes American English for you. Right? So they have the word. I was like, the environment. I'm looking up environment. What do you mean? So then I look, it says the natural world as a whole, or in particular geographical area, especially as affected by human activity. So most of us at this conference have our jobs, have our mission, have our nonprofits, because we're focused on what is Anthropocene, the human activity that has now impacted the natural environment. I wondered what nature would do to define the environment itself. I thought about Mother Earth, I thought about Mother Nature, and I wondered how she would write this definition. And then I saw the one I love because I'm a computer scientist and mathematician. They had one for computing, and I said, yay. It said the overall structure within which a user, computer, or program operates. And I said, and herein lies the problem. Too many of us are programmed now by the mini computer that you call a cell phone. It's actually a PDA, right? A personal digital assistant. And we're programmed to look at it more, at pretty photographs that people take of the environment, instead of actually going out into the environment.
Make it make sense.
And make it make sense. She said, right, I can't for that part, because I go out in the environment, I turn mine off, okay, because I know what it does to people. But I would encourage all of us that the way that we can collectively make the environment more natural is if we go out and actually engage in it. And that we broaden our circles of people that we engage with, and connect with some native Gullah Geechees, connect with some native indigenous people to the regions that you go to visit. I visited all 50 states, and everywhere I went, I tried to find who were the natives there and find out how they have continued to live on the land. I wanted to hear the stories of their ancestors and how they lived in balance on the land, and how they were thriving and surviving in the face of what we call climate change, and how they expected to make sure their future generations also, as I like to say, overstand, because we've been under too long, it's time to be over some things, to overstand exactly how to bring balance back. And I feel the only way we do that is to collectively get in a circle together and have an opportunity to actually engage with each other, and then sit in that circle under one of these beautiful trees that's fully rooted by the rivers of the water and has not been moved by any of the storms that I've been in too long, including those that said that my community should be uprooted, that our culture, our language, our tradition should be uprooted, until people discovered that we had the answer to how to live in balance with the natural environment. And so my environment is one where we love peace, and we love harmony, and we love joy and laughter, and of course a lot of music and dancing and good food. And we intend to be eating seafood and rice, which require a lot of water for the generations to come. So that's why I dedicate my life to this work. Because as I say to people, the water will be bloodline, and the land will be family. So if you love the earth like I do, and really consider it part of your family, then Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Mother Africa even has birthed, then we take care of the family. And we definitely don't poison the bloodline. And so it's a blessing to be in any place, in any space, where people want to do that with me. And so I find it an honor to be back on this campus for the first time in at least a decade, from the first conference I came to, where about a dozen or so people were there, to multiply to all of you. And I was getting emails since last year saying, Queen Quet, we announced you the keynote speaker, and now all of a sudden the registration is And you're like, can't wait to hear you. I can't wait to speak to you. So now that I do that, I want to thank you. I want to thank the entire committee for reaching out like those branches on the tree. And so that we can come together and sit beneath it in some shade, cool the waters, cool the earth, and then be able to create a new environment for our future generations to thrive and survive in. So I appreciate all of you, the work that you do, and especially on behalf of my ancestors. I say thank you, that we damn Florida. Well, other people, they don't want to celebrate who we be sometimes, but we know who we be, that we be Gullah Geechee, anointed people. So peace, love, and blessings to all of you. I'm going to exit this door before Brother James come up here and try to pull me off the stage, so y'all can get back to your classrooms on time. And then I will be outside this door signing books. And also I handmade quilts. My mother and I continue that tradition, and one of many in the Gullah Geechee Nation, in addition to fishing and farming. And so the earth and the water mean a lot to me, and I hope they do to you, and get outside sometime to enjoy that kind of healthy environment. Peace, love.
I want to thank Queen Quet for her moving presentation. As she mentioned, she'll be outside for signing and purchase and some other things. I apologize.
There you go. I thought you were going to switch it from because he was supposed to make sure y'all saw our tree.
Sorry.
It's all right. It works.
She was fascinating, wasn't she?